Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Write Scripts. I'm Micah Craddy, a WGA screenwriter and the head of writing at Arc Studio, the best screenwriting app in the world. And there is a link to check out Arc Studio in the description. Today on Let's Write Scripts, we are going to be doing 3 writing sprints where you could work on your script, and we'll be chatting in between those sprints about screenwriting, and I'll be answering your questions about screenwriting. So it's going to be a great time of writing and talking about writing and learning about writing. And I'm particularly looking forward to about an hour from now when a bunch of people tune in and didn't realize that daylight savings time had started. And so they have arrived an hour late. So for all of us who are here on time, that is something that we get to look forward to in, I think, about, well, maybe slightly earlier, in about 58, 57 minutes. I feel like we're going to be getting some of that in the chat. But yeah, that's just a present just for us, just for the people who realize that the clocks had changed and are here on time. We're going to have that. Before we get into it, I would love to know where are you and what are you writing today? These are our standard questions just to get us going. Let me know who's out there, where you are. Love seeing people from all over the world, many continents, except for Antarctica. Still on the quest for a real person from Antarctica joining us, but every other continent we've covered. And what are you writing today? I'd love to know. Are you working on a feature? Are you working on a pilot script? Are you working on a short film? Are you working on some other creative project like a novel or a short story? We've had people writing essays sometimes and poetry because they just want the creative company. Wherever you are, whatever you're working on and wherever you are, I'd love to know. And sometimes people are at work, and that's cool too. They're working on a spreadsheet or some emails or something, and they just like need some creative company, particularly people I feel like who like work from home or something. And if you're here doing that, that's cool too. Hopefully you can soak up some creative energy. So those are just the standard get to know you questions. Who's out there? What are we doing? Where are you? What are you writing today? Then we also like to have a discussion question to get us in the writing zone. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a transition from whatever you were doing before to what we're doing now to writing. So just to start our brains in that direction, our question today is, how do you know if your idea is good? What are the signs, or what are the symptoms, you could even say? And this isn't about like a definitive list, like, because you can't always tell like definitively if the idea is going to turn into a good script. But like, what are the signs you're on the right track? What are the signs maybe you have something here? Maybe this is the one worth pursuing, because we all have ideas. I have so many ideas, so many notes. So many times I'll like write something on my phone, or like I'll text myself something, and it'll just be an idea. And like 90% of those things go nowhere. But you just keep doing it. And you're always wondering, all right, is there something here? Is this the one that I should pursue? So what are some of the signs of the one that could turn into something real? What are the signs? What are the symptoms? Get in the chat. Let me know. I'll share some of my thoughts, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Maybe something from your own experience when you're like, oh, that was a good one. Like, I knew it was good because of this. So where in the world are you? What are you writing today? And also, like, where are you in the writing process? You can tell me if you're like doing a rewrite, you're outlining, you're maybe doing some scene revisions. Maybe you're doing a page 1 rewrite. Maybe you're just doing your vomit draft, like whatever it is. I'd love to hear it. And then, how do you know if your idea is good? What are the signs? What are the symptoms that you're on the right track? That maybe you got something with this one, that maybe this one's got some fire to it, a little heat. In the chat, loving seeing everybody. We got Cash in Arkansas doing some revisions on his pilot. Amy in sunny LA working on a series. Yeah, LA is very sunny right now. That's where I am as well. And today is just like today's perfect weather. And tomorrow it's going to jump 15 degrees. It's going from like 70s to the 90s, which is insane, and I'm very upset about. But it is today, we're staying in the present, and it's beautiful. And like, there's a nice gentle breeze and the sunshine. And it's one of those why you move to California days today. And tomorrow is we shall not talk about. Juno in Massachusetts is working on a vomit draft. We got Shoka, who can stay for the whole session because of daylight savings time. One time I'm glad America changed earlier than Ireland. Yeah, that's right. You guys changed in like a couple weeks, right? I feel like Europe goes into daylight savings time a little after us. And so glad to do that. The Satchmo 6 writing a Latin horror feature in Southern California. Fantastic. Oh, good luck, man. Is this your first time? And you are at work. All right. Well, then just keep your headphones on, and I'll try to keep my voice down so no one knows what you're doing. But I don't recognize your name. So if this is your first time, I'm glad you're here, and hope you get some great work done. Tessa, also in the LA area, working on a pilot, Studio City. Cash chiming in on the question of the day today, which was, how do you know if your idea is good? What are the signs? What are the symptoms? Cash says, on the good idea thing, I've just given up. I write me. If I don't like it, I don't write it. If I do like it, I write it. But that's a valid answer. Like, if you're excited about it, that is one of the great signs that it's a good idea, because it's something you're excited about, because like you're the one who has to write it. No one else is going to do it. So if you're not excited about it, it's going to be a pain. You're probably not even going to finish it. So I think that is a legitimate answer, that like, if you like it, if you're excited about the idea, that's like, you have to have that one. That's like the base. And if you don't have that one, like, you might not even try. Juno, no idea if I've ever had a good idea before. I doubt that, but I know, and I can't stop thinking about it, that I have to pursue it. That's similar. Not only that you like it, but that you're excited about it, that you can't stop thinking about it. I think that's another great aspect of something being a good idea. One, you like it. Two, you can't stop thinking about it. You have to pursue it. You feel a momentum to it. Sometimes you even feel like an inevitability towards it, like that this thing has to exist, and it can only exist if I do it. So I think that's also a great answer. Shoko, usually write my idea in the style of a synopsis summary and put it away for a week or two. If I look at it after that and then I'm like, damn, I want to watch this film, that's usually a sign. Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. Coming back to something, if it lasts, because I mentioned, like, I have ideas all the time, and most of them are just like, flash in the pan. Just, it goes away. It's like, oh, that's something. And then I never think about it again. It loses my excitement. But if you come back, but there was something recently where I came back to, and I was like, oh, that is still interesting. Like, I think I'm going to pursue that one. I'm working on something else right now, but like, that's something I'm coming back to. And also, I want to watch this film. I think that's a great thing too. If this is a movie or a TV show or a short film that you want to see, that you think needs to exist, and you can see it, that's a great sign. I think that's a great symptom as well. Brian in Jacksonville's working on his graphic novel. No good idea when I get positive feedback. All right, that ties into something else. Positive feedback. Oftentimes, I think people wait to get feedback until like they have a script, which is like fine. You can do that. But talking about an idea early on before you've even written it is a great way. I think it is something that can be very helpful as well. Shoko was talking about like writing it in the style of a synopsis summary. It's kind of like that. When you have an idea for something and you're playing with it, one thing that I think can be really helpful is to share that idea with other people. And I always picture it, to me, it's like I'm sitting in a bar next to someone, and they're like, what are you working on? And I have a pint of beer, and I turn to them and I tell the story. It's like a little mini pitch, like an elevator pitch. And if that person, and I'm like, if they're interested in it, if they sit up and like, oh, or they start asking questions because they want to know more, that's a great sign. It doesn't have to be a bar. It's whatever your version of that is. And it can be very helpful also if like you're doing that, like if you're talking to someone who's a fan of the genre, who would be into the kind of thing that you're working on. Like if you're working on a horror film and you're talking to a friend who's like really into horror, or a family member or something like that, and you pitch your little idea and they're like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, or, and you can really tell like if they're interested, or if they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Now, if they aren't enthusiastic about it, that doesn't mean you have to give up on it. I think that means that just generally you don't quite have the thing yet. What's the thing that makes this tick? What's the thing that like is really interesting about that story? So I think it's not necessarily a sign to just give up, but just to like reevaluate, what am I lacking here? Because often when you're talking to someone too, suddenly like it makes sense in your head, and then you start talking to someone, you're like, wait, what is this thing? So that can be a good sign to reevaluate. Ryan, happy birthday. Everyone wish happy birthday to Ryan in the chat in New Jersey, and we're doing a script. So glad you're here. And Anthea in Newark, working. Pam in New Mexico, still working a vomit draft for your rom-com. A good idea. It flows quickly, easily. Also, others love the idea. Yeah. Now, a good idea doesn't always flow quickly or easily. Sometimes it can get stuck. But there is that period where the ideas are flowing, often early on, where you're kind of brainstorming for it. I think that helps. Once you kind of get beyond the brainstorm stage, don't be discouraged if it stops flowing easily, because it's hard. And so, yeah, there's going to be work to it. But especially when you're like thinking about it and thinking about all the places and go and think about potential scenes and the story and the characters, if stuff's just kind of coming at you and you're like, oh, that's that, and you're just writing it down, you're having thoughts in the shower, you're having thoughts on the walk, the ideas are just coming. And that's just like a really fertile field, right? That's something that's like a very good idea. I know my idea is good if I think my writing is next to perfect. That's a hard standard. I don't know if I would, I mean, Ryan, if that works for you, fantastic. And I'm not going to argue with you on your birthday. That'd be rude. You're the birthday girl. Um, but I would say perfection for me, especially when you're working on something, it can be dangerous a little bit because I always think about getting better, getting better, getting better. So you might be starting with something that's far from perfect, but that doesn't mean it can't turn into something. So perfection, I think I get what you're saying, but that can be a little dangerous. And Thea's working on her outline. Christian's in South Carolina working on the 6th draft of the feature outline. Have you written the script at all, or are you just working on the outline? That's a lot of outlining. Sometimes, for me personally, I can't outline that much. I have to write the script. But if that's part of your process, I'm just kind of interesting in how you're approaching that. I think if the idea can be simply stated clearly in a few shortened sentences and others stand and want to know more, you're onto something. Totally. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. If like you can just get it out quickly and you get the hook and people are like, what? And they want to know more. That's fantastic. Ladybird in Pennsylvania writing a memoir, plan to make a script and pitch for a movie one day. Awesome. Good luck. So writing the memoir, I'm assuming like as a book, and then you want to adapt it in the future. Well, good luck. I hope we get some great creative writing done today. William Poole, jump scare when I started this an hour early. In UK, we haven't had daylight savings yet. Here we go. I said this at the very beginning that people are going to be tuning in. I thought this was going to happen in like 45 minutes when people realized, but you caught on early. I'm still waiting for the comments, the chat in about 45 minutes when people start tuning in and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Or, oh no, I thought I'm an hour late because of the UK. Anthony is working on 2 current projects that are shorts, turning into features. One is an Image Award winner, and the other is close to 1,000 views on YouTube in a month. Fantastic. I mean, that's another good thing with an idea. If there's like a proof of concept that gets a good response, that can be another thing that's like, oh yeah, this could have another thing. So that's fantastic. Kelly from Windy, Kansas, rewriting a very old pilot. When I do the fast pitch, people ever excited, so they got me reignited to polish it. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. That's a sign of a good idea. You're fast pitching to people, they're excited, and that kind of shows there's something there. LaRue is working on a rewrite for complete script in Atlanta. I received pop for the feedback, but overwritten. Interesting. That could be, I wonder, LaRue, are you, have you written in other kind of things? Sometimes it can be hard for people if they're used to like writing prose, like novels or something. Sometimes when they turn to screenwriting, they can feel like they have to start. There's like a little bug like flying right by my head that is driving me insane. So I'm not having spasms in case you guys were worried about me. What was I talking about? Yeah, we talk about this a lot on Let's Write Scripts, but it's really just like, what does the audience need to know? What does the reader need to know? What's the vibe of the scene? What's important about the takeaways? You don't need every detail. You don't need everything. That's helpful. And also, you don't think of the actor as a puppet. I think this was an advice I gave someone last week that they found helpful. When you're talking about the character, what they're doing, give them things that an actor would be excited to use, right? Don't think of them as a puppet where you have to like describe exactly everything they do, every move, every gesture. Give them things, emotional things, interesting things to work with, but it doesn't have to be everything. And then all the happy birthdays for Ryan. So excited everyone's there. All right. Satchmo, beat sheets where the real work is. People focus too much on the outline and the treatment. It's so interesting though, because like everyone's process is a little different, and the definitions of these things bleed together. Like for some people, when they're working on an outline, really all they're doing is just making a beat sheet. Some people never do a full treatment. I don't generally do like full treatments if it's just something I'm writing on my own. But yeah, it has to do with the process, really, like what works for you. There are people who write like what are called scriptments, which is basically like it's like a treatment mixed with a script. It's like very detailed. So it's whatever your process. Christian, iterations of the outline is extremely helpful for me, proving scene ideas instead of writing a bunch of them in a long form. What work saves time. Ryan Johnson says 80% is outlining. Yeah, no, I totally get that, but it's just kind of it just always fascinates me how different people's brains work, because for me, I totally know what you get about like writing in them that won't work, but often just the way my brain works, I can't tell if sometimes I can't tell if it's not going to work until I've written the scene. Like in outline, things just make sense to me sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Cause it's like my brain's filling in gaps kind of. But for me personally, It's when I get to the script. Like I'll generally basically do an outline, write half a script, be like, what's not working here, and then start over. That's like my cockamamie process. Jim, I'm working on my third feature and trying to adhere to a strict 3x structure. My pinch point occur 2 is at 68% from what I've read. It's supposed to be at 62%. You're talking to the wrong guy, man. I am not about prescribing when things exactly have to happen. You should be led by your idea and your script. These ideas of like when exactly things happen are created from looking at scripts after the fact and trying to discern a structure from them. They are not very good at actually using the work, and most things don't actually exactly follow these things, like these forms. So it's completely fine if it happens at 68% or 67% or whatever. Don't worry about that. Like all of those things about like structure and formula, just use them as a tool, right? Use it as a resource. It is not the law. If it doesn't help you, if your work does not conform to those, that's fine. Those things are not, there are no rules to this. This isn't like, it's not a formula. It's just a general sense of things. So if you're in the general sense of it, then you're using that. Yeah. So the difference with outlining, this is kind of something I mentioned when I was just writing something for myself versus for someone else. The process is very different. If you've sold a pitch and you're like writing it, sometimes there's a mistake. There it is. Did I get it? I'm going to get this guy before the end. That's all I care about. I don't care about ride today. I care about killing this little bug that I'm just going to fail over and over again, because maybe it's more than one. The process is very different. If you're doing a work for hire or if you're just writing a spec script on your own. Generally, if you've sold something, you deliver an outline first, then you get notes on it, then maybe you're doing another version, it depends, and then you're doing a draft. So I think mostly what we were talking about is basically people writing spec scripts on their own here. Juno, I've said this before, but I usually have to cut myself off from outlining, planning too much. I think sometimes I used to procrastinate because I'm nervous to write it. I do love outlining. I'm kind of like you. I get to a point with my outlining where I just kind of feel like I'm just moving things around, and it's sort of like I'm just scared to actually do the writing. Not like scared, but just like almost lazy, because the translation from the outline into the scene, like turning this into scenes, dramatic, interesting, compelling scenes, is a lot of work. And so sometimes I just stay in the outlining stage, or it feels safe and I have to get there. So I'm with you there. From experience in writers' rooms, gatekeepers want strong beat sheet writers that can be easily fastened into a script. Yeah, I mean, there's all different parts of it. Like if you're in a writer's room, then yes, you're going to be writing beat sheets. You're going to be turning beat sheets into scripts. But it's a different kind of process for just like writing a spec on your own here. But for other people, they do outlining and planning because of like really messy first drafts and forgetting what you want to do next. So it's all a balance. Like that's why I'm basically would never say this is how you outline a script. This is the process you follow, because there are some people who it's a spectrum. In fiction writing, it's the plotters versus the pantsers, people who write by the seat of their pants, people who plot everything out. It's a spectrum, and people fall somewhere in between on that. All right. But it's cool. I love seeing everyone's opinions towards this, because it feels like something that should be so simple, or there should be some sort of consensus, but like there's not. It's interesting though, hitting the wall, because this is the important thing. Like for me, it's not about like figuring out every contour in the script. It's like, do I know what the big movements are? Do I know where this is kind of going? Do I know like the climax? Do I know the midpoint? Or like, do I know some big moments in it? If I know that, then I'm ready to go. If you don't have any clue of that, some people, for me personally, I need to know those big things. I need to know the general shape of it, but it's not, I don't do incredibly detailed outlines. It's more the bigger movements that I know in advance. And then the rest often I'm finding out the script. And then sometimes the bigger movements change because of that. It's a very, very fluid process. It sounds like a pantser who's trying to turn into a plotter. You're trying to reform and turn into a plotter, which sometimes I'm like that as well. I mean, I'm in the middle, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's fun. It's also kind of trying different like approaches can be interesting, because sometimes you just done an approach because that's how you taught, or you just did it the first time, and then so you just done that every time, but like there can be a better approach out there. So I encourage people to experiment. All right, this is awesome. I think we're ready now. 20 minutes. Yeah. This is a great discussion early on. Usually feel like we don't get this into the discussion until after the first writing sprint. So I love the energy. But we should take that energy and actually use it in our writing. So we're going to go into the first writing sprint. And if you're new and you're wondering how this works, in just a second, I'm going to mute myself and shrink over, become a little Micah over in the corner of the screen. Don't worry, it's not permanent. I will regain my full size. And then there's going to be a timer counting down on the screen and playing some vibey music. And during the sprint, you just work on whatever it is that you're here to work on. These aren't prompted sprints because we're all working on different projects. We're all at different points. It's just as the time for you to do what you need to do. And the first sprint is a 15-minute sprint. It's a chill warm-up sprint. If you haven't been writing today, maybe you're using the sprint to get into the zone, reading back over your work, doing some free writing, whatever it is, or just jump on in. I did some writing earlier, so I think I'm just jumping back in because I'm kind of in a flow. I'm feeling really good about this right now, my script right now. So I'm going to get this music going here. 15 minutes on the clock, and I love it. This is also great. Yeah, just feel free to ignore me and just start writing whenever you want. You don't have to have the timer and music on. So this makes me very happy. Just like write. Yeah, especially it's also when like the sprints end. Feel free to keep going. Do you, whatever you want to do here. But 15 minutes on the clock. Let's do it. that brings us to the end of the first writing sprint here on Let's Write Scripts. How did I mispronounce the title? I got it worse. I need to start over. All right, that brings us to the end of the first writing sprint here on Let's Write Scripts, brought to you by Arc Studio Screenwriting Software, the best screenwriting app, I think, in the world. It's what I use. You can start writing a script for free if you want by using the link in the description. If you are just joining us, perhaps because you are not in the US and you didn't realize daylight savings time had started in the US, so glad you're here. And if this is your first time, especially glad you're here. If this is your second, third, or fourth times, equally especially glad you're here. And if you're a regular, how's it going? Glad you're here. If you did that writing sprint, though, I would like to know how it went. How's your writing going? How's it going for everyone today? How are we feeling? Are the muses with us? Or did the muses also forget about daylight saving time? Are the muses an hour behind? Let me know in the chat how it's going. And if you're dealing with anything in particular, any particular issues in your screenwriting, the craft, the character, something with your story, something about your scenes, the pacing, anything, and you want to ask questions, I'm going to do my best to answer. You can get in the chat. You can ask those questions. That's what these breaks between the sprints are for. So get in the chat. Let me know how it is going. See a good question from Anthea. Stages of Times, hello. So glad you're here. Kelly, oh, that was fast. Muses are here finally. Fantastic. Question from Shoko about phone calls. Love it. Finish rereading my script. Need to make a few more changes, then update it in the digital copy. Oh, so you're doing it like by hand and then doing it online. Brian's sprinting on all cylinders. Brian, I feel like you've had some like mediocre sprints lately, you've said. So that's exciting. Glad to hear this. Kiwi, the muses are firing ideas. They were on time. This is fantastic. Romy's hitting a wall. I have an outline, but it just feels like certain things are missing. I feel like I don't know how to approach it and fix that. Maybe we can discuss about that in a little bit. Ryan has another question as well. All right, so let's see here. Anthony had asked this question earlier, or a little bit ago. Recently, I read a script by a friend. She had a new line for every sentence of her descriptions. I thought it was excessive. Thoughts on that one? Yeah, I mean, it also feels a little excessive to me. I understand, though, there is this sort of, there's a style that kind of approaches that, where it's all about kind of like moving the eye down the page. And it's kind of like, there's a bit of a momentum to it. Personally, though, I think it can be overdone. I like to do that in sections sometimes if there's something where I want it to happen. But if it's like everything is like that, then it kind of gets old to me. I'm more like for kind of writing in the style that the moment requires. And so I think there are some things where you want that kind of like the eye going down the stage and it's kind of dramatic. But there are scripts, professional scripts are kind of written in that style, and you can find them out there. So for me, it's not personally my favorite, but I will use something like that kind of at times where the moment calls for it. But again, there are some kinds of scripts. There is a kind of a modern style to that where people do that kind of a lot with their writing. Shoko, if cutting back and forth between two locations for a phone call, say Tom is at home and Jim's in the park, can you get away with only doing a slug line once and then the reader knows the locations? Yes, exactly. So what you do is you would do interior Tom's house, day, blah, blah, blah. Tom calls Jim. And then you would do exterior park, day. Or no, sorry. You would do interior house, day. Tom calls blah, blah, blah. And then you would do the transition intercut with intercut, intercut, intercut with exterior park, day. And then so Tom, and then that's it. That's the beauty of the intercut. If you use an intercut, it basically tells the reader that we are cutting back and forth between these two locations. So you don't need to go back and forth. So in fact, if you're doing a telephone call, you should not keep putting the scene headings over and over again, because that's going to be really annoying. Use an intercut. Romy, I feel like I'm hitting a wall. I have an outline, but it just feels like certain things are missing. I don't know how to approach it and fix that. So, I mean, there are different things there. This is kind of what we were talking about earlier. And sometimes for me personally, it's like I have to just get in there and write the scenes. Like try writing a scene. Like try writing a scene that you're excited about. And I'm not saying you have to write the entire script, but just like writing a scene can unlock what this thing is for you. Like if there's a part of the script you're very excited about, like something I'm working with is like, I'm very a sequential person. My wife's a writer. She writes fiction, and she's not, she like writes what kind of inspires her. And I try to do that sometimes. And so I try to follow this advice, but it's hard for me. Sometimes just writing a scene can unlock things. But there's also things in your outline, you can talk about, and partially depends on like what do you feel is missing, right? Is it that the beats of your outline just sort of feel disconnected? In that case, sometimes thinking about but and therefore can be helpful. Like this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens. Adding complications and consequences to things. Sometimes it can be a character thing that just feels wrong. Does it feel like your character has a goal in this outline and that they're doing things to pursue that goal? Are they facing obstacles in the way to that goal? So these are just a few things you can kind of think about, because I mean, it could be a lot of things, but those are some things. Have you ever turned your work into a screenwriting contest? I personally have not. Well, a long time ago, there used to be because when I was first starting out, these programs still exist to some extent, but they're not as much as they used to be. There used to be all these screenwriting fellowships, like programs at the different networks. And so I like applied to those back in the day. But I'm sure other people in this chat have applied to screenwriting contests and have some thoughts that they could share on that. Pam, great sprint question. I'm trying to write my rom-com that's really more drama, a little comedy, but I often go too comedic. Do you know any shows or scripts to read where it's a blend of drama and rom-com? I mean, oh gosh, I'm sure there's plenty. I don't know why. This is in my head because I just saw it. I don't know if it's the best example, but like we just rewatched Shakespeare in Love. And, that's a drama, romantic comedy as well. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with where's the source of the comedy come from? And what's the source of the drama? And can those two things coexist in this world? And often they can, because the world's like an absurd place, right? And if you think about like even the classic sitcoms, like, Moonstruck. I mean, that's dramatic and funny. Or You've Got Mail, right? Like there's drama there. There's the drama of the competition between the bookstores, or Sleepless in Seattle. Like all of those things are dramatic and rom-coms. I feel like that's When Harry Met Sally is like mostly just like a drama about these two people. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's okay. Like I feel actually like most examples of the genre are dramatic. So I don't know. I think I don't know if you're on the wrong, you might be on the right path. Follow-up question. If one character changes location during the phone call, but the other doesn't, do I need a new intercut? Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it kind of depends. So he's someone's at the park, they go outside. No, I don't know. I mean, I think it's basically implied. Like, so let's say it was interior house, intercut with exterior park, blah, 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 you're intercutting. And then like the person at the house walks outside. I think you could say they walk out to exterior house continuous, and that would be fine. I think it'd be clear if you're saying, like, if you're with that person, they walk out to a new slug, and then we're still with them. I think it'd probably be pretty clear. Just you want to go with clarity and like brevity is kind of the general two rules of thumb. June, I've been reading some scripts alongside watching movies lately. It always surprises me how much these movies diverge from the script. How are these changes made? Do they get recorded anywhere? Yeah, so in TV they do. There's this thing called the as broadcast script, that basically, after the fact, like when I was a script coordinator, I'd have to do this where you go and you kind of like create like the affirmative thing for the record, what it is. So that's going to happen for a few different reasons. There's an adage that a movie gets written 3 different times, right? It's written on the page, it's written in the camera or like on the set, and it's written in the edit. So you may write something and then on the day shooting it, realize it's not working. Or the director may not necessarily care about the script so much. And so it can be different. And then in the edit, things change so much. You're cutting entire scenes, you're changing the order of things, you're trimming dialogue out of scenes, cutting a scene to half its length. So things can change wildly throughout throughout the process. But that is interesting sometimes, like when you're like looking at a script and you're just like, wait, I thought this was the movie, but it's not the same. So as a drama, rom-com, a dramedy, I mean, I think like there are really no distinctions anymore. Like think about the things that win best comedy at like the Emmys, right? Like The Bear. That's not a comedy. Like what, like so everything's a comedy and everything's a drama these days. I don't know. It's interesting. Just think of like, I feel like a lot of the old things have gone out the window, but I do think like rom-coms, it's a broad genre. Some are more goofy, some are more dramatic, right? It's a spectrum. Everything is like a spectrum. And so it's just like, where is it going to be on that? Yeah, Nancy Meyers films are great. I'm outlining a rom-com about a blind couple meet at a guide dog foundation, a true story. Should I probably pitch it as a drama rom-com? I mean, whatever you think. I don't know. It's like, that goes down to the particulars of the project, like whatever you feel like best encapsulates it, or like whatever you also think about. Sometimes you can think about the comps you're using, right? So comps or comparisons are like the movies that your thing is similar to. So for instance, oftentimes it'll be this meets this, right? It's The Matrix meets Once Upon a Time in the West or something, right? It's like that would be a cowboy sci-fi, something like that, right? So what are the comps? I think can also be helpful tonally in terms of how you're describing it, because it should make sense that the comps match up with the tone of the thing. Yeah. Ooh, I like this here. Dramas to film, but cream is to ice cream. It's not really definable as a genre. That's fun. All right. Where can we find scripts to read? All over the internet. So there are certain websites like Script Slug. But honestly, if you just Google like the script title, like Shakespeare Loves script PDF, something like that, you'll find links to stuff like that. Yeah. Love Past Lives, where it's emotional, deep at times, but funny too. Yeah, and that would be definitely something that's more on the dramatic end of the spectrum, and I don't even know if I would call that a comedy, just because like dramas can be funny, like I think about TV shows. Mad Men was hilarious. Breaking Bad was hilarious. Like a lot of these shows are really funny. Like, and a lot of comedies are really dramatic. I mean, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Fleabag was a comedy. It was incredibly dramatic and like heart-wrenching at times. So use the full spectrum. Use all the elements that you want to use, the comedy, the drama, like, don't do it. All right, this is awesome. Love this discussion, but let's keep moving. Let's move into the next writing sprint. So this is the 25-minute writing sprint. It's the big one. It's the full Pomodoro sprint. 25 minutes on the clock. Don't need a lot of preamble. Do what you need to do. And let's get into it. 25 minutes on the clock. Catch you guys on the other side, and I'll show the sandwich of the week. And it's a beautiful sandwich this week. It is a beast of a sandwich, a beast of a beautiful sandwich, a beautiful beast of a sandwich. So that's coming up after this writing sprint. But 25 minutes on the clock first. Let's get into it. I'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, and that brings us to the end of the second writing sprint here on Let's Write Scripts. I kind of want to have like a theme song or something, like some intro music like that, just like really getting us pumped up with like a live studio audience clapping. Anyways, welcome to Let's Write Scripts. If you joined during that sprint, this is a weekly live stream. I said live twice. This is a weekly live stream show about screenwriting where we do timed writing sprints where we work on our scripts. We talk about screenwriting. I answer questions about screenwriting. It's really dedicated to the craft of screenwriting and dedicated to giving you a time to work on your script because your life is busy and sometimes you just feel like you're doing this all by yourself. So having this creative community to come together, the set time, 1 p.m. Pacific. We're here on Wednesdays, even though the time has changed for some because it was daylight saving time. And I always say savings, but it's saving time. And maybe you live in another country and didn't know the time had changed and you came here late. I'm glad you're here. And next week, we'll all be on time. Anyways, if you did that writing sprint, I want to know, how did it go? Did the muses show up if they were late? Any specific questions you have, anything you want to talk about? We have a little time because we've had such a great discussion in the earlier breaks. We're actually running pretty late, but we can talk about a few other things, but I'd love to hear how it went today. I aim to entertain. I'm so glad to hear it. It's Wednesday, so let's write scripts. You got to have that pause in between. Let's write scripts. We've been having an interesting talk in the last break about kind of comedy and drama. And there were, some things. I saw Cash here. He said, I'm actually rebelling against that about there are no drama scenes in my work right now. Just to clarify, not rebelling against drama. I just think there should be less mixing between comedy and drama. And this was making me think a little bit about comedy and drama. And I think part of the problem with this is that like these words mean different things. Like comedy and drama are both elements of writing and genres of writing. And so, so I get what Cash is saying here about comedy and drama and what he's rebelling against, because a lot of things that are getting classified as comedies aren't full of jokes and gags. They are more dramatic in tone, in style. And I think when it comes down to comedy versus drama, though, because I am a fan of having both comedy and drama in my work and in the work that I watch and I read. But when it comes down to like, what is it? Like the classification of it, I think that comes down to my mind to what the audience's expectation of how they're going to experience the work is. Like it's basically genre expectation. Like if you go to a horror movie, you have certain things to expect. And if you're going to something that is a comedy, that is being presented as a comedy, you are expecting laughter to be sort of the primary experience that you have, the primary way that you're experiencing it, that you're reacting to it, versus a drama. Because when it comes down to the elements, though, all comedy contains drama. Like if you think of drama as something that's like a definition like character-driven conflict, then you can't have comedy without drama, right? Comedy comes out of conflicts, desires, frustrations, embarrassments, all these things. That's drama, but drama is the source of comedy. And that's just at the scene level. And if you go to the story level, then there is no story without drama. Like even the most classic sitcoms that are pure audience laughing, every 3 lines, there is a punchline and the audience laughs. All of those episodes are built on a dramatic premise. There is some problem of the week, right? There is some drama. So you need drama for your story. You need drama for your scenes. I think, when it comes down to the discussion between drama and comedy as genres, again, I think it goes down to audiences' genre expectations, I will say. And also like William's comment here, even bleak war films have comedy often. It's hard to write anything without finding its way in. Yes, and I totally agree with this, because humor is one of the primary ways that humans deal with tribulation. Whenever anything hard is going in my life, or like, I'm talking with my wife or family or friends, like I'm going to make jokes about it. Like that's one of the ways it's a coping mechanism for drama is humor. It helps. So even, in the most dramatic things, the best dramas are going to have comedy in them. So that's awesome. Anyways, just a little discussion. Let's see here. Shoka had to do some school writing or something. Wednesdays are for writing. Yes, they are. Sprint went well for Sages. Writing my latest blog now, but mulling over the outline. Fantastic. Zoe, great to be here. Just want to ask for dialogue tags. Can use the character's nickname as recommended to stick to their full name. So like in the script, their name, it's basically, I would say whatever they are in your head. So oftentimes, yeah, I would go with the nickname if that's what people are primarily calling them. Like, I don't know why this popped into my head, but is it like Bucky in like the Winter Soldier, that one, you know, like that's not his full name, but that's what people call him. So it would say Bucky, you know, whatever. Yeah, so it's however you think of that character. Generally, it's people's first names. But if it's like, you know, someone who's like Principal Johnson, then it would be Principal Johnson. If like the kid's name is Steve and it's Steve going to talk to Principal Johnson, it'd be Steve Principal Johnson, right? Because that's like his essence is Principal Johnson. If it's like a kid, you're not going to have like Steve Thurston or something or whatever, or Steve Jones or Steve Williamson, right? Every time it's just going to say Steve or Stevie or whatever. So it's like whatever they are, you put that there. Brian's still sprinting at an optimal pace. Great writing day for Brian. In life, there are comedy, drama. Exactly. When a scene in a pilot shifts from LA to Mexico, should I use Chiron or just add Mexico City in the slug? Well, that depends. Do you want it to say Mexico City on the screen? Then you put Chiron. If you don't want it to say Mexico City on the screen, then you just put it in the slug and maybe in the description. So it just depends on what you want to do. Yeah, that's a writer's choice. All right. I'm writing a drama comedy pilot, but definitely comedy like Breaking Bad. I like mumbled through that. You need to find some comedy like Breaking Bad for your drama pilot. Exactly. Oh my gosh. This is like a pet peeve of mine because after the success of Breaking Bad, there were all these anti-hero shows, male protagonist anti-hero shows that got made on a lot of different places. And like 90% of them forgot the humor. And most of them, and 90% of them like died. Yeah, like it's just very important. That was such an like integral part of Breaking Bad's success. I have an image of my characters and know them really well, but I find it so difficult to write character descriptions. Do you have any tips? Yeah. So think of the vibe. You don't need necessarily the details. Think of like the vibe, the impression that you want about them. So like, and be spare. You don't need that many details. You just need to like, is there a certain thing about their appearance? Is there a certain piece of clothing that's very important to kind of who they are? Like, you know, a guy who's always wearing, you know, like a fedora, that's important part of his personality, you know, things like that. So just like the essence, the vibe, the couple little things that kind of encapsulate who that character is very important. I've got a scene where my characters watch TV and I have dialogues from both the people on TV and people watching. Should I use OS or something or else or not? I would use TV in like instead of OS. I would say like the character's name or TV. And then also I would put the dialogue coming from the TV in italics. That's something I also often do if I'm hearing like a phone call, if we're not intercutting in a phone call, if we're just hearing the phone call through the phone. Basically, if we're hearing something being mediated through some piece of technology, it's coming from a speaker, I generally personally will put it in italics to sort of denote that there's a different sonic quality to it, that it's not happening. A human being isn't saying it live. So I would do like, you know, I don't know, Homer Simpson TV, and then "do" in italics, if that was the line, basically, if that makes sense. Basically, at this time in the show, I've usually dipped. So it's my first time seeing the infamous sandwich. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure. And Glitchy, hello, welcome, coming in just for the last few minutes. But that's a good, Shoko's good transition here. So if you're new here, every episode, I show the sandwich of the week. And the sandwich of the week is the best looking and usually best tasting sandwich that I made that week. And we got a beautiful one this week. So without further ado, this is the sandwich of the week. I made this sandwich on Monday, and this is a ciabatta and salmon sandwich. So that is air fryer salmon on ciabatta. And I like actually brushed the ciabatta with a little olive oil to like give it a nice little glow here. We got pickle, because like pickle and like mayo with salmon to go together really well. We got cheddar on this, which also goes with that. We got Italian greens. We got mayo. We got avocado. And this was just like it was like a crunchy ciabatta, a little toasted. And yeah, this was a beast. Like, it's also, this photo makes it look like it was like 3 feet tall. It was a good sandwich, but This was a good sandwich. I really enjoyed this one. This is the sandwich. Yummers, thank you. Oh, yes, that would be great. We like an intro for the sandwich of the week. It's the sandwich of the week. Do, 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 do. And then, like, I share the sandwich. I love that. Thank you, Anthea. Yeah, this was beautiful. You know, who else was it that hated pickles? I feel like I don't know if they've been here in a while, but someone didn't like pickles. But you're picking up the baton of the not liking pickles. Have you ever shared a show called Let's Make Sandwiches? I have. Yes, I have. Jabada bing, jabada boom. Used that joke before. No, that's great. Looks fire. Thank you. It was fire. There we go. So that is the sandwich of the week. Come back next week for a new sandwich. It may not be as good as this one, but I'm going to try my best. All right. So that's the sandwich of the week. All right. Where are we? Man, we did so much great discussion today that we're basically out of time, and we've only done 2 sprints. But whatever, it's the internet. So I'm just going to do another sprint at the end because this isn't basic cable or anything like that. There's not another show starting at 2:30. So we're going to do a 15-minute sprint here to end. Glad you got to see the sandwich, and you're going to get the last sprint because we are going to do a sprint for people who want to stick around. If you have to leave, I understand, but some people, especially those of you who came late because you thought it was going to start late, you probably have a lot of time left in your calendar or in your schedule. That's what I meant. So I'm going to do a 15-minute sprint here at the end. And if you have to leave, so glad you were here, and I hope to see you next week. And I'll say farewell to you now, and please say farewell to me in the chat. Let me know how it went. I love hearing from everybody. And if you stick around to the end, we'll say our final farewells after this 15-minute sprint. But yeah, that's it. Next week, Let's Write Scripts. Same time, 1 p.m. Daylight Savings Time, Pacific Daylight Time, here on the Arc Studio Screenwriting YouTube channel. So I hope to see you then. And I just kind of want to like vibe a little bit, but I'm not. I'm going to write instead of crooning to you guys over this lounge music. So 15 minutes on the clock, everybody. Let's do it. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the last writing sprint and the end of Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, March 11th. And like, what a great episode this was. Like, great discussion, great writing for me, and I think a lot of people. Just like a really good vibe. I'm so glad you guys were here. I hope you got some great writing done. I hope you learned some things, enjoyed this discussion, enjoyed this creative energy, this creative time. I hope you keep writing this week. Don't let this be the only time you write this week. Try to carve time in your schedule. Try to make a routine if you can. Early in the morning, first thing in the morning, or at night are great time to do it. Lunch breaks, whenever you can do it, whatever works for your schedule. And I hope to see you all next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, because we are in Daylight Savings Time. Daylight saving. I'm going to say that right at some point in my life. Daylight saving time. But yeah, that's it. I think that's it for now. I will see you all next week. Until then, please be kind to yourselves and happy writing. Farewell.